Hello again, ladies, gents and friends. As always, I hope you are all keeping well. Have you ever heard that sea bass spinning is easy? Spinning is possibly the hardest sports fishing activity you will do. I made a video not too long ago about sea bass and sea bass spinning. It was quite a success. I tried with that video to go through all the difficulties I found starting spinning, as well as explain what I have picked up over time and recommendations from a lot better sea bass anglers than myself. I tried to cram as much possible information in without complicating things and keeping it as short and simple as possible, but I was left thinking there was room for a little more. So I will put a little more emphasis on the beast itself, the elusive European sea bass. It is known that sea bass love that energetic oxygenated water, that white foam and spray. I, on the other hand, do not. It makes one wonder, how can the fish make heads over tails in all that confusion and sea movement? Well, they can, and do. Sea bass, like all fish, need oxygenated water because their gills extract dissolved oxygen for a process called aerobic respiration, which releases the energy they need to live, move, and grow. High oxygen levels are crucial because they support the higher energy demands of an active, healthy, and growing fish, making oxygenated water a preferred environment for bass to hunt, feed, and thrive. Sea bass will avoid, when possible, beaches in very rough weather, whilst when conditions are better, they love to patrol that shoreline, picking out those little worms, crustaceans, and other small fish eating the same. The Goldilocks effect. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. This is one of the many difficulties in catching this elusive fish. Dusk, that magic time, casting parallel to the shore. You can just make out here the different color of the sea. It's where the sand is being dragged back and the waves are returning. This is where the food for the fish is, and the sea bass know it. This is where you will have more success, especially if you have a feeder, which carries a lot more provision of food when flowing back into the sea. It's always a good idea to visit the beach at low tide to see just where the feeders, sandbars, cuts and the troughs are. It will increase your possibility of a catch. The same applies to beach casting or surf casting. Off the beach now and on the rocks. This is just about perfect sea conditions, although a little more structure would be a little better. Structures like these are absolutely perfect, and the areas you should try and make an effort to target. You will lose lures. It's unavoidable when after those more trophy-sized specimens, they hang out in harder places. The sea bass avoid the light and will not hunt during the day in open grounds. Rather avoid those sun rays and hide. Imagine yourself in their shoes, or in this case, fins. Thank you. These hangovers and crevasses in the rocks are just perfect for that ambush. Now visualize a lure swimming by. Would it be 100 miles an hour or a nice realistic little fish? Or in this case, prey minding its own business just passing through. I will now take you underwater from this rock. Let's see the world through the sea bass's perspective underwater rather than the surface. This is a perfect example of where the sea bass would be, in the shade or dark, under a hangover from a rock, where there is a little oxygenated water, and they can ambush easy prey. Once again, our world, their world. It really makes life easier if you know the territory or the sea bottom. I do spearfishing here, so have the upper hand. This is exactly what they will be doing during the day. Imagine their behaviors and needs. Prowling and lurking in the shade and out of sight, awaiting that opportunity. Have you seen the pattern yet? Are all the fish exposed or taking refuge near the rocks and also the shade? When you are in the shade and the other fish are in the sunlight, they can't see you. You are in the dark and they are blinded by the sunlight. Makes sense? All the sea bass need to do is wait. Don't forget they are not particularly hunting, rather hiding and waiting. But why not wait where food can flow by and is easy pickings? Run these scenarios through your head the next time you are spinning. It might make the difference. I fast-forwarded this a little for your benefit, but a small shoal of saddled bream are taking refuge here. All I needed to do was wait a little and they appeared. They are juveniles, possibly 3 months old. Could be a lovely snack for a hungry predator. As the camera was in the dark and they came in from the sun, they could not see me. And that is how the food chain works. Predator, prey, light and dark. One the victor, one the vanquished. You will hear that dusk and dawn are the best times for sea bass. This is due to the fact that they do not particularly like sunlight at all. This is why dusk and dawn are great times for fishing, and as we call that magic hour. Predatory fish can attack their prey and feed before it gets too light and they are seen. The same applies to when getting darker. It seems that when the sun hits the horizon, there is a last dash to catch those fish with just enough light to pick them out, but enough dark to conceal the fish's attempt on the prey. Dusk and dawn, the sea bass relies still substantially on their sight, although they have other senses besides smell, which we will address in a bit. But as seen as we are on the subject of sight, let's try and understand exactly just what sea bass see. I have heard comments that sea bass are colorblind. This is technically incorrect. Sea bass have dichromatic vision, which means they see the world in 2 colors, primarily red and green, while lacking the ability to see blue. Their 2 types of cone cells are sensitive to green and red wavelengths, and their vision is often described as similar to red-green color blindness in humans. This visual capability allows them to make decisions based on color cues, particularly with lures, but colors like blues and purples likely appear very similar to them. The trichromatic theory, also known as the Young-Helmholtz theory, proposes that the human eye perceives color through 3 types of cone cells, each sensitive to different wavelengths of light. These cones work in combination, with different ratios of activation creating the perception of the entire visible spectrum of color. There is a lot of controversy on these theses, and by no means at all can I cast any light whatsoever on the subject. All I can say is, do they see what we see? I think not. Have you ever stopped to wonder how fish see lures at night? Through their lateral line, also called the lateral line organ. A sensory organ composed of nerves and specialized cells called neuromasts, located in pores along the fish's body, often visible as a line of tiny holes on the scales. Sea bass are more active hunting at night. Where their vision is compromised, their lateral line will kick in. This is why night is more productive. They will feel the lure and its motion through the water. This is why they have rattles and wobble and roll, all designed to trigger that instinct. The European sea bass exhibits seasonal reproduction, with spawning taking place during the colder months of the year. Breeding generally occurs from December to March in the Mediterranean, and from January to April in the northeastern Atlantic, although timing can vary depending on local water temperature and latitude. The sea bass is a batch spawner, meaning females release eggs in multiple batches over the spawning season, rather than all at once. Fertilization is external. Females release large numbers of buoyant pelagic eggs into the water column, which are then fertilized by males. European sea bass reach sexual maturity at around 3 to 4 years for males and 4 to 7 years for females, with females usually maturing later and growing larger. In many EU countries, including under EU fishing regulation, the minimum conservation reference size for European sea bass is 42 centimeters. This means you must not retain, transport, land, sell or display sea bass under 42 centimeters. For commercial fishing in Portugal, the minimum landing size for sea bass is 36 centimeters. This generates some confusion, and many anglers in Portugal believe that 36 centimeters is an acceptable size, which is untrue. For recreational fishing, the 42 centimeter rule per EU applies. So if you catch sea bass recreationally, you must return any under 42 centimeters. Another very important factor: from the 16th of January until the 15th of February, you are not allowed to capture any specimens. All have to be returned during the spawning season. This information is valid to my best of knowledge and applicable to the year 2025. The frustrations with spinning are very real. We see on the internet those personal bests, those massive monsters, the ease in catching that elusive sea bass. Well, don't believe everything you see, and good for them. Let's just worry about ourselves and try and not compare our catches to others. The grass always looks greener on the other side. Spinning for sea bass will result in blanks. It's part and parcel and unavoidable. Better get used to it. Sometimes the bass have their heads down after crustaceans and won't look up, or the silhouette of that lure is not what they're looking for. You know, a bass can live till 30 years. Imagine how many lures they have dodged. I suspect they learn. Another issue is running out of ideas. You have a box full of every lure there is. Why isn't this working? Shall I change for that? What should I do? Am I applying the wrong retrieval speed? Well, these are the variables. Not every day is the same. Some days even doing things wrong you will be fish on. Other days doing everything right you will not avoid the blank. That's fishing. Just try and enjoy it. The fresh air, the time with nature. Nobody knows everything, but everybody knows something. And that something is enough to have a great time. Lower the hard-to-achieve expectations. Every mistake you learn, and every catch you rejoice. Have you never heard? He who quits never wins, but he who wins never quits. It is a difficult fishing skill, spinning. So many variables, so many things to go wrong. So when it does go right, savor the moment. So now we know our elusive opponent a little better. Let's see if we can put it to practice and not forget. Let's try land some bigger, beautiful silver slabs. But also do our best to conserve this species and keep it alive and well for the future anglers. Unfortunately, like many other species, their numbers are in decline and becoming ever more elusive.